What's your I tried to do a nice thing, but it ended in disaster story. I found a guy seizing out on the side of the road in a small town once. It looked like he fell and broke his glasses. He also had some blood running down the side of his head. So I called the ambulance for him because I didn't know what to do the next day. A lady at one of my regular stops came up to me and said, "Why did you call so and so an ambulance yesterday? Now he has to pay for it. He's a tough guy and would have been fine." It happens all the time. It was midwinter and some random guy was twitching on the street. What the FF was I supposed to do? Just keep driving? I stood up for an old woman on the bus and she spent the whole ride yelling at me because she is not old and does not require a seat. How dare I think that she can't stand by herself. About a year ago, I was going out with this girl who was extremely self-conscious and sensitive. She would often ask me questions such as, "Am I fat or would you love me if I was heavy?" To these I would answer yes and move on because I found her questions strange, considering she was quite skinny. But one day, she asked me one of these questions and it all went terribly wrong. The conversation went something like this. However, it's mostly paraphrased as I don't remember everything that was said. Would you still treat me the same if I were to gain weight? I'm quite fat and you still hug me. Even if you were, there'd be more of you anyway. So it wouldn't even be that bad. Right after this she basically snapped. She said something along the lines of, "I can't believe you'd say that to me. I thought you loved me. You're a terrible person. I can't believe I fell in love with you." After her small breakdown she pushed me and ran off. I never understood why she got so upset. I just wanted to make her feel better considering she never liked it when I told her that she wasn't actually fat. "Honey, you're beautiful and I love you." Repeat while backing away slowly and keeping your eyes on her. Flee and never return. Trying to catch and relocate a mouse. Didn't want to hurt it, but long story short, I dropped the stove on it. Gruesome. When I was a kid I went into my mum's room and found our cat looking up at a small bird chilling on the rim of one of my mum's bags hanging from a cupboard only like a meter away. I had no idea how that bird got in the room. I panicked and went to try and shoo the bird out the window before my cat got to it. The bird didn't move when I got close, so I picked up the bag it was perched on and tipped it out of the window, at which point the poor bird dropped 2 stories onto the ground. I stared back, confused as to why it didn't fly off. It turns out it was injured and my mum had put it in the bag for it to heal or something and neglected to tell me. That bird's death will forever be on my conscience. I was watching some people playing a carnival game where everyone is sitting down throwing ping pong balls in 2 holes to make their avatars race when I looked down and saw a $50 note falling. Must have fallen out of one of the players' pockets. So I picked it up, nudged an early teen and tell him he dropped it. He takes it, has a quick word to his friends and they hurry away. Then I look up and the lady in the seat next to him has a concerned look on her face and her family start looking towards the ground. I put 2 and 2 together and realized I gave it to the wrong person. Worked at an arcade prize counter. Summer camp of kids came rolling in. They had tickets for unlimited games but they couldn't get any points for the prize counter, which the counselors failed to tell the kids, so we had to keep explaining it. Some of the poor kids were super excited because they had won a jackpot. It was equal parts annoying and heartbreaking. Well, one kid showed up and was devastated. He'd been working all day to get enough points for this little clip-on fox plush. He was inconsolable. I decided to use my own points to get it for him, because I felt like that was a toy I would have liked as a little kid and I'd also probably be equally devastated if I couldn't have it, and because I was well and truly annoyed with the counselors at that point. I told him to not tell anyone. He came back later in tears because the counselor confiscated the toy. To have the toy and have it taken away probably felt worse than not getting the toy at all. I felt awful. On a rainy day, I gave a ride to a hitchhiker near campus that looked like a typical university student. I normally don't pick up hitchhikers, but it was hard to ignore him standing there in the pouring rain. I drove beyond where I was headed to get him to his stated destination, a place off the beaten path. But then he would not get out of the car. He just kept staring and telling me that he was lonely and needed someone to be with. I finally told him that we were headed to the police station if he didn't get out, and that did the trick. If it hadn't worked, we probably would have come to blows, because I could see he was building up to something. I wasn't the one that tried to do the nice thing, but was the victim. We had our in-laws staying over a few months back for a week or so. The sink in the bathroom was getting a bit slow to drain. No big deal, probably just clogged up with hair and sludge. It happens. It just needs the trap emptying on the U-bend under the sink, literally a 2-minute job. Before I could get round to doing it, though, my mother-in-law decided to try and help out by fixing it herself. Rather than undoing and cleaning the trap, though, she went out and bought some drain cleaner acid stuff. The first I heard about this was when she told me she'd tried it, but it hadn't worked. Heh, no problem, I thought. I'll just do it properly. So I took the trap off, expecting the usual sludgy mess of hair, but the trap's clean and shiny. Oh. So basically, the drain cleaner had dissolved the gunk enough to shift it from the trap and the blockage had moved further down the pipe. I tried 3 more doses of acid, but still no go. In fact, the sink was properly clogged by this point. So in the end I had to undo all the pipe work and pretty much take the bathroom apart, thankfully just short of having to rip the bath out, to get to the clogged pipe. A simple 2-minute job turned into about 3 hours of crawling around on a filthy wet bathroom floor. I know she was trying to help, but I could have throttled her for that. I sent flowers anonymously to a woman I used to babysit for, with just a Bible verse on the card. She was a single mom. I knew she had been through a lot to restart her life, and I guess I was just in the mood to offer a random act of encouragement. I was 18 at the time. I got a call from the flower company when they arrived. The woman was freaking out and wanted to know who the sender was. I refused to release that information because I didn't want to make it about me. In the years since, I have pieced together what the incident must have seemed like from her perspective. Her ex was abusive and she fought hard to get away from him. She must have thought that he had located her and was beginning to stalk her. Who knew flowers could come off so sinister? But I understand these things much better now and I am so ashamed. Not as serious as some answers, but the other day at work I was supposed to put this box in a storage closet, but I didn't have a key, so I was just waiting for my boss to meet me. Another woman came up and asked me if I needed help. I said no, and she told me to get a key from the main office right down the hall. I went and asked for a key thinking if I could go ahead and get it done that it might make things go smoother for my boss. Well, I tried to open the door and the key snapped in half, with half still stuck in the door. They couldn't get into the closet for about an hour and had to get special tools to get the key out of the door. So, I tried to be nice and get my work done early, ended up breaking a door and making us stay an hour later. I loaned my sister $6,000 because she, according to her, was laid off and needed the money to pay back a $401k loan. The plan was to pay me back within weeks once her $401k was released to her. I always had a great relationship with this sister and I trusted her. Well, all of that was lies. Come to find out, she used my money to pay off a drug dealer and then she and her girlfriend went on a year-long heroin cocaine binge until they both lost their houses and their cars. I'm glad to know that my hard-earned money was basically used for partying. In case anyone needs to ask, I have cut her out of my life and never plan to speak to her again. Said, "Madam, you will have to wait." Lady yelled at me for 30 minutes because she's not old. Really? I was being respectful. A homeless guy by my house was asking for money for food outside a restaurant, so I offered to buy him dinner. Turns out I forgot my wallet at home, so I told him I'd still pay if he waited like 10 minutes for me to go home and grab it. I got back in 7 and he was gone and I had to pay for 2 meals because they had already made the food. Leftovers. When my little cousin was 3 years old, he loved Mickey Mouse and one day we were having him and the rest of the family for breakfast. I decided to make him special pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse's head and use blueberries and whipped cream to make it sorta resemble his face. I was so excited to see the smile on his face when I served him those pancakes, but instead he yelled out, "I hate Mickey." Apparently he and Mickey had a falling out that I was unaware of and I had to go make him regular pancakes because he refused to eat the Mickey ones. Honestly, I thought it was strange because when I was a kid probably would have been more eager to eat Mickey if I hated him. Kicked a ball for my dog to chase. She lunged for the ball the same time I was kicking. kicked her in the face. That's all for the video. Hope you guys liked it. I made an Instagram, AskReddit and Insta. After launching this channel less than 24 hours ago, we already got 62 followers. Woohoo. Don't forget to subscribe. Per usual, I will let you know that if you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is simply watch the videos. But if you really want to see the channel thrive, subscribe, like, comment, add to favorites, add to playlist, and share with friends. This channel is already doing very well despite being in its infancy. Excellent work. Thanks guys.